Would you like to see your next-door neighbor and best friend, Vivian Vance?
So when Lucy found herself the subject of a tribute on the Dinah Shore Show in 1975, she was nearly moved to tears when her old co-star surprised her.
I also wanted to tell you that you let your roots grow out.
Yes, I finally did.
The reunion was the first time the two had seen each other in years following Vivian's move to the San Francisco Bay Area.
You thought I was in an old lady's home, didn't you?
I didn't know where you were. I knew you were out here once, and I was away, and then I didn't know what happened to you. I didn't hear.
Well, for 1 year. 1 year. We talk on the phone a lot, but we haven't seen each other.
Where have you been?
Oh, I've been doing all kinds, selling coffee mostly.
Well, that I see.
Vivian, who had done a popular series of coffee commercials at the time, couldn't mask the emotion of the moment.
You always have to watch us cry a little when we see each other.
Oh, isn't that
We've been
lovely?
through a lot together, 2 husbands, 2 divorces.
She surprised her friend by bringing along an old gag gift Lucy had given her years earlier, a mock contract from her days on the show.
Now, this is material that Lucille wrote, and I'm going to read it.
I love it. I love
Is
it.
this your employment contract?
Yes.
This is my employment
I gave her
contract.
a new
After
contract.
a certain number of years, Lucille wrote me this contract. Party of the first part must promise to never dye her hair within 5 shades either way. Of the party of the second part, also known as the lovable natural redhead.
Yes, of course.
Part 2, party of the first part must also agree to put on an additional 5 pounds every month for the next year. Otherwise, this contract shall be terminated at the whim of the party of the second part by 1, a phone call, or the more generous option of 30 minutes notice, Lucille Ball.
But Vivian's favorite story sounded as though it could have been right out of an I Love Lucy episode, except for the fact that it really happened.
Ever so often, she'd get me over there on a Saturday, and she'd put the bleach on my hair, and she'd put the henna on her hair, and then we'd sit around gab, and we'd have old slacks on and a couple old shirts, and so we were sitting in her beautiful home in Beverly Hills, and she had an operation on your toes. That's right. She grew
both.
toenails. So her feet were up on the coffee table, and she had great hunks of cotton in between.
sticks.
And then they were all wrapped
Both
up
feet.
like this, and I had some old dirty shorts on, I guess. But anyway, there we
Like this.
were.
Real operation.
And there was a great sound of sirens and officers and motorcycles.
You got
and
bleach on your hair, and she's got henna,
and she's got the henna, and I've got the bleach.
She's
We're
got
sitting
2
there like
cotton
this, and
toes.
she's got her
Okay.
toes all wrapped
Okay.
up. And she said, something's happened at Jack Benny's, Vivian. I can't run. I can't walk. Run to the door, see what's happening at Jack Benny's, because he lived
Such
next.
sirens, such motorcycle cops. You
So I
never...
ran to the door, like my boss told me. I said, Lucille, it's here. It's here. They're all coming up the walk. They're all coming up the walk. And it looks so, and she said, well, come sit down. They'll never recognize us. So the 2 of us sat there, me with the white bleach on and her with the red bleach on and these awful clothes. And this whole entourage walked into the house and across, and somebody bowed low as they went by. And we didn't know. It sounds like a show, doesn't it, Dinah?
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't sound real at all.
No, it doesn't.
So nobody paid any attention to us at all. So we just thought we'd sit there and watch it all go on. They went upstairs. They went out to the guest house. This law, all these people. And this man was dressed kind of like the king and I. That was kind of odd, you know.
Yeah.
But we weren't going to say anything. And finally they came through, and
The women were bad.
no, they were all dressed up in those. I
With the
said,
thing in the middle of the forehead.
Oh, really?
so I said, the man said, thank you very much. And we said, who was that? You know, because we'd really like to know who this entourage was that went by as the 2 of us were sitting there, and said, that was the king of Siam. And I said, Lucille, nobody's going to believe this. And the man said, he thanks you very much.
And you know what
He
she
thanks
said?
you very much.
She said, well, you're very welcome. She said, we'll drop in on you someday when we're...
The Dinah reunion was one of their last public appearances together. 2 years later, Vivian was diagnosed with bone cancer. 2 years after that, she lied near death when Lucy came to visit for what would be their final goodbye.
Once she saw Lucy's face, she broke into tears, and they hugged, and everybody left them alone and just let them talk for a couple of hours and just reminisce and be pals that they were.
Vivian died in August of 1979. Lucy nearly 10 years later. The laughs they left behind on screen may have been intended for the TV audience at home, but one gets the feeling it was the two of them who had the better time.